Hi everyone and welcome back to the British Pint, where we brew the finest Ukrainian beers. My name is Christoph and today we're tasting the anti-imperial stout called Resist, which is promoted by a fundraiser so that you could brew it and sell it and then donate the profits to the campaign. I'm just trying to raise a bit of awareness for that, and today we're tasting it. The green beer was smelling a lot like beetroot, so I'm very curious how this turned out. It has been conditioning now for 6 weeks at warm temperatures because I really wanted to round off that smell and potentially flavor to be sure that I don't have anything that tastes green or like roots and earthy and sandy and stuff like that. So the warm conditioning that I do at around 20 to 22 degrees really accelerates the conditioning time, and so it's almost as if it would be matured for like 12 weeks or something like that. So it's all quite fast. Okay, so this is well rounded off, I hope. I'm not so sure about the carbonation because when I bottled it, it didn't really fizz a lot. That might be because the safety valves that I always put on top of my kegs where I store my small amounts of beer that I tend to do, this is 5 liters. The safety valves, they tend to expire after around a year, and they are a year old now. So if I'm unlucky, it just now stopped sealing it, and then you just get all the carbonization evaporated. So it doesn't stay in there. But we'll see. Maybe there's some in there. Some would be enough for me. This is a very strong beer. The style is Imperial Stout, so it's supposed to have lots of alcohol and little carbonation. So that would be to style. Let's see if there's a bit in there. I hope so. So the data, there seems to be an enormous amount of final gravity in there. I measured 3.9 degree Brix, which is almost 1016. That would be more than any beer I ever did before. It could be that a lot of additional alcohol has created, so my refractometer would have a larger error than what I can calculate out of it. And that would be because, first of all, the beetroot introduces some sugar. It was a pre-boiled, vacuum-packed beetroot that I bought, and I used 260 grams, which is 60 grams per liter rather than the 50 grams, just because the 2 pieces that I took out of the pack were exactly 260 grams. And so that adds a bit of sugar, just a tiny amount of sugar. And then I also primed it with malt extract to make sure that it doesn't taste too thin. Remember, I put some invert number, what was it, number 1 or number 2 in there? You will see it in the previous video. I didn't check that yet. And that one creates a lot of alcohol and some flavor, but not very strong. So I want to get a bit more malt flavor for priming, so I use malt extract instead of sugar. Yeah, I used a decent amount, and normally then my safety valve would then just make sure that any excess would come out, but it might be that the carbonation is a bit little, as I said. So let's pour it, shall we? Oh, something I can tell you about the beetroot. I chopped up the beetroot very finely, and I used this to get the beer out of my fermenter and into the keg, and this just got stuck so often. It was really annoying. And then when I bottled it out of the small tap here in the front, again got stuck several times, and that is just not easy to deal with beetroot. I guess if you properly mash it, it's a bit easier, maybe, or even worse, I don't know. It might be easiest to put it in a small nylon sack, like you use for hops, and that might be the best way to go forward with this. Okay, so there's a bit of pressure on this. That's all I need. Okay, so not a lot of carbonation, just a very gentle fizz, which would be very according to style if this was a proper Imperial Stout. It is intensely dark. If I shine light through it, you won't see anything. It seems to be also quite cloudy, so there might be some beetrootish particles in there. Not sure, or yeast. This was one of the first bottles that I bottled. Yeah, I guess this is beetroot particles, so impossible for me to filter. But you might have the tools to do that. Yeah, intense beetroot smell, some chocolate, some toffee, you know, a bit of caramelly malt smell. Lots of beetroot. I want to say something before I try this. What was that? The foam seems to be very stable, so these coarse bubbles seem to be very stable. I can't remember what I want to say, so I'll just drink it and see what it tastes like. Intense flavor. Yeah, very, what was this? Vinous? Yeah, so it really tastes like a strong wine. Plenty of alcohol. Oh yeah, what I wanted to tell you was 6.2% alcohol is what I calculated, but really probably high, 6.5, maybe up to 7, I'm not sure. So this one has quite a lot of vinous smell, strong bitterness that lingers on the tongue, but not the roast bitterness, but really the hop bitterness. I remember I used a lot of Admiral in this one, though I did calculate it more properly than for, what was it, my barley wine, which is almost ready. I will try taste that in a few days, probably, maybe 2 weeks. So this one should be around 50 IBU. The bitterness lingers on the tongue quite a lot, so that's almost harsh, but it's according to style. So you have the nose full of beetroot. Just before you drink it, it smells really earthy, like almost like earth, proper earth, grain, maybe dirt. Then you have an intense malt flavor, which is quite nice. It's a proper base, quite sweet, malty, and then you get lots of roast bitterness, roastiness, some chocolate, some coffee. It's not really chocolate. It's very harsh bitterness and roastiness. It does contain some crystal malt. Ah yeah, chocolate malt and black malt. Yeah, all right. And flaked oats. Oh yeah, the flaked oats could be the reason why the gravity is so high, the final gravity. Yeah, it does have a viscous mouthfeel from the oats, really filling, but it's not nice to take a big sip because it's so strong in alcohol. I would drink this slowly and gently, as you would do with a strong wine, even though the alcohol might not be that high, maybe 7%. But it does feel quite sharp. I wonder if it feels like 8-9% alcohol, not just 7, which is a bit surprising. So the alcohol and the overpowering alcohol flavor, that's a bit too much. Maybe I fermented it too warm. Normally the Imperial Yeast Harvest Lager has no problem at all with fermentation up to 16 degrees. It's a strain that really can deal with higher fermentation temperatures. But maybe it was just a bit too high, or maybe the fermentation was too strong, and so the temperature inside the liquid got too warm. It does have quite an alcohol bite to it, and that might be fusel alcohols, I'm not sure. Yeah, but apart from that, apart from the alcohol that layers over everything a bit, it's really nice balanced beer. I wouldn't say it's sweet at all, not too sweet, not sweet for the percentage of alcohol, that's really great. It does have the caramel and fruitiness to it. Good malt base, some chocolate, some coffee, some just burnt astringency. Yeah, just a really nice strong beer, I would say, and it's properly dark. If I would make an anti-imperial stout and my extract efficiency was better, so I underestimated that last time. I'm not sure why it got that low, less than 16 degrees Brix, but normally I would expect to go to 20 degree Brix and really get that alcohol going, maybe even 25 degrees Brix. If you can achieve that gravities, it would be even more proper. Yeah, so I boosted the ABV with the Inwit sugar, and that was also decent. But yeah, it does taste quite vinous, alcohol intense. So you might fare better if you go with 100% malt and no sugar in there. Okay, and that's all I would say about this beer. I'm really surprised that we're no longer talking about whether Ukraine is going to fall soon, but rather whether they managed to free the south. The game has completely turned, so I'm very looking forward to a proper liberation of the Ukraine, maybe soon, who knows. And apart from that, I would say see you next time when we brew another beer. Take care.